tonight. I've got a couple of stories to share with you. One of them, I don't know about you, but when a company rebrands its logo and spends an absolute fortune, often on a logo which, by the way, looks like a child has done it or looks no different, it always blows my mind. But I don't really care if it's a private company, but I do care when it's something paid for by you and I. So the BBC, it has apparently spent quite a few money, tens of thousands of pounds, we're told, on revamping its logo. There you go in front of you. One of them is the old one and one of them is the new one. I've got to say, and I've just had to give my glasses a wipe just to check I'm not missing something, because to me, they look pretty much identical. Maybe, you know, if you push me, I might say a very, very small, slight change to the font. Anyway, that's the difference. They've commissioned a lot of spend, tens of thousands of pounds, as I mentioned, to go from one of them to the other. A Freedom of Information request has been submitted to try and find out exactly how much we've spent on it, and they wouldn't tell us. Honestly, infuriates me. Joining me to discuss this, Digital Campaign Manager of the Taxpayers Alliance, Ventre. Good evening. I look at that and I just think, are some people just a little bit stupid? Because why would you spend, to quote what we're saying here, tens of thousands of pounds to redesign a logo which pretty much looks almost identical to the one that you had before? And why is this okay? Oops, that's a little sneak preview of one of my upcoming stories there, ignore that. Why would they think it's okay to spend taxpayers' money on such a thing?
Well, absolutely, Michelle. I mean, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. I mean, you know, as you've said there, we've seen this logo redesigned, or so-called redesigned. As we've seen, it's simply a slight tweak to the original font. And I think, you know, as you mentioned, when it's a private company, of course, and we've seen this example, for example, with BT a few years ago, the same sort of thing. When it's a private company that redesigns their logo and they want to spend tens of thousands or millions or whatever on the... No one cares, exactly. Of course, that's their business. But, of course, this is money that has been plucked from the pockets of licence fee payers. These are people who simply dare to own a TV. And, of course, their money has been put on the line for this rather amateur redesign. And
why won't they tell us how much it's cost?
Well, I think in this case, the BBC has claimed an exemption under the grounds that disclosing that cost would infringe on their commercial relationships, presumably with the graphic designers. But of course, you know, those are the sort of exemptions that are available to public bodies, which, you know, of course, they are entitled to. But the BBC is actually entitled to further exemptions from the FOI Act as well. And I think, you know, that it just really nails home the point that even though that these companies, these public sector entities, have the right in these circumstances to be exempt from certain questions, they still have a responsibility, I think, to be as transparent as possible. And I think that would be good not only for licence fee payers who can see where exactly their money is going, but for the BBC itself as a trusted British institution.
I think I'm in the wrong job. Never mind TV presenting. I think I need to go and do graphic design. Charge all these companies an absolute small fortune just to highlight a bit of text and change the font on it. My talent, what am I doing here? I could be absolutely raking it, couldn't I, doing that? Tell me something else. Dorset Council, this has caught your eye as well. What's this about?
Yes, so we've been looking at Dorset Council. We've had a look through the government's contracts finders, and what we found from Dorset Council is that they've actually put out a contract to tender for a residents' magazine to the tune of £225,000. Now, I mean, that's a fairly extraordinary amount of money, and I just think that, you know, once again, we're seeing a council splurging a lot of money on these documents, which are essentially sort of self-promotion. I mean, I think most of us will be familiar with these sorts of magazines that you get through the door, which are essentially lined page to page with, you know, self-aggrandising content. And
I'm familiar with them, and I've never read one in my life. Have you two ever received, you know what I mean, like one of the kind of pamphlet things? Have you ever got them? Do you read them?
No, and indeed there are lots of councils around the country that don't do them, not least because actually it's a very fine line between the self-aggrandisement and also any particular political administration, frankly, using it as canvassing material for the next election, which is why the council I was involved in didn't get involved in that kind of propaganda, shall we say. So I actually think there should just be a law, frankly, that outlaws councils from doing that kind of
Well,
aggrandisement.
Eric Pickles tried to do that, didn't he? Eric Pickles apparently went and tried to get these cut back to just 4 issues a year, these so-called magazines. It was challenged in court by councils who suggested that due to advertising revenues raised by the publications, the newsletters apparently was a good value for money. Do you ever read yours?
I can access council information online these days. Yeah. I think most people do. What
about older people that can't work?
Well, I'd rather the council spent some money on letting older people enter the digital age, perhaps on some minor scheme to induce some training. Actually, well, I'd rather they didn't do that. I'd rather they spent some money on bins and potholes, quite frankly.
Oh, exactly.
That would be lovely. That would make for a change.
Nice change,
Joe? That would be a dream. I live in hope that one day this may occur. And
don't hold your breath. You won't be around much longer if you do that, because there's no sign of potholes being fixed anytime soon. Often, I don't think. Tell me that logo, Charlie. You know, you've got younger eyes than me. When you look at that logo, do you think, "Wow, yeah, what a difference"?
No, but I imagine lots of people sat in market research groups were told that and were paid for their time, and they maybe sincerely came up with a very strong view about the particular font or that slight shade of grey. I mean, you know, gives it away. I'll be honest, when you showed me the photo, I thought you were going to show me a second one. I thought, oh, it's the BBC.
One was the
right, but when I saw it, I thought, oh, it's the BBC twice. That's nice. When's the next photo coming? Oh, lo and behold, that's before and after.
Yeah, but isn't it yet another PR own goal by the BBC? Because there are, this is with my education hat on, Michelle, there are tens of thousands of young people in this country who are studying graphic design. There are graphic design schools. Why can't a public institution like the BBC put out a competition? They don't have to pay anything for it. And I'm sure they would have got lots of great entries. Why don't they do that rather than paying tens of thousands of pounds?